بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Brothers and sisters and disciples worldwide, tonight we'll try to take some questions inshallah azza wa jalla. Fadl Abdul Khabi.
The question I have is that, when you are consulting with somebody to receive nuclear, what is the requirements? Which that person, if you're going to evaluate a person, what are some of the requirements you should look for before you hire somebody for their treatment, for nuclear and things like that?
For ruqya.
Yeah.
Okay, meaning a person who wants ruqya, seeking a raqi?
Yes, he's a rocket, yeah.
Okay, tight. Questions regarding the requirements or the attributes of one whom you're trying to get to be a potential raqi, to make the ruqya, to give you the prophetic way of curing via the recitation of the Quran and or the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and the adhkar al-shar'iyya al-warida. Making ruqya. What should you look for in a person? Well, first and foremost, the ruqya can be done on oneself, by oneself. You don't need a qari to make ruqya on you. Nor do you need an imam or a scholar or someone righteous to make ruqya. You can do ruqya yourself. Even though that's not a part of the question. But it's a very important principle to be brought up. Another very important principle that many people forget about is that ruqya doesn't have to be done just for jinn possession. You do ruqya for a pain that you're having, sadness, grief, anxiety. You can do ruqya just to protect yourself. Ruqya to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for preventative measures. Just like medicine. Many people, they only go to the hospital or the doctors when they're about to die, when they're feeling really bad, when it's a great amount of pain. And they neglect and ignore their health and the necessary ways of protecting and maintaining one's health and curing sickness and illness, etc. Point number 3 is, for argument's sake, you want someone to recite on you. Then obviously that person, of course, they should be someone whom you believe in your heart with full sincerity and honesty is righteous. They don't have to be a perfect person, a saint, but someone that's righteous. Someone that you feel is trying to do the right thing and they are doing the right thing to the best of their ability and most of the time. That person should be knowledgeable, they should be learned of what they're doing, and they should be learned and knowledgeable in general, but especially of the ruqya. Obviously, they should have the correct aqeedah, and that's a part of righteousness. That's a part of being righteous. They should have the sound creed, the correct belief in al-Islam, the sound practice, and they should be someone that you feel can help you out. If they have more knowledge and more experience, then obviously that's even better. Obviously, it's even better. But the ruqya, who you get to do the ruqya, a big part of that is going to depend on why you want or need the ruqya. If you just want it, that's one thing. If you need the ruqya, that's going to be a different story and the different levels of needing the ruqya. Someone who feels they have sihr on them, someone who has a pain, someone who feels there's a jinn in them, and there are levels of jinn as well. So depending on the need, that's going to determine the workload, the heavy duty stuff that you need to deal with that. Wallahu alam.
SR from California, 2-part question. Why is Friday the Lord Prayer really special? Second part of the question is dice bad to touch and playing with dice?
Question from California. With regards to why is the Friday prayer and sermon so special? First and foremost is the Prophet ﷺ has informed us that Jumu'ah is the best day of the week. And there are many reasons behind that mentioned in that hadith. That's the best day of the week. All right? And there are many things that are included on the day of Jumu'ah. As-Suyuti rahimahullah and many others, Ibn al-Qayyim, many other scholars, they've mentioned several different virtues of Jumu'ah. The eve of Jumu'ah, the morning of Jumu'ah, the day of Jumu'ah, and also the evening or the night of Jumu'ah. All right? They've mentioned many fada'il of Jumu'ah. All right? And many of them are mentioned in the authentic hadith, and some aren't mentioned in the authentic hadith. So Jumu'ah is a very special day, and it was a special day before Islam. It was known, the concept of the congregation. As far as some of the tangible benefits, and of course you see your brother sees you, you learn, you get reminded, you hear the good word, you get the rewards. It's a day of barakah bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. As far as dice or dice bad to touch, so on and so forth, the best thing to do is to avoid using dice. That's the best thing to do. Are they included, playing with dice, is it included in gambling? Is it included in games of chance? Are dice included in nard dashir? Are they included in those prohibited things? Or are dice considered separate? When you throw dice, when you roll dice, is it a skill involved or is it sheer chance? And what is the mahud dabit al ilmi? What's the ruling and what is the guideline with regards to skill versus chance and playing a game? If you say that it's anything that's pertaining to chance, then there are many, many other things will be haram to do and to partake in. All right? So the best thing to do is to stay away from dice. Don't throw them, don't roll them, don't blow on them. As far as are they haram to play with? Are they included in nard dashir? All right, that's a very long discussion. We've spoken on this in a few Q&As before, and that's all I have to say about that for now. Wallahu alam.
OS from Columbia, Missouri. Question is, when reading that hadith, I sometimes come across words without vowels, and I don't know how to pronounce them. Is it okay to skip over those words if I'm reading by myself?
Questions from, you said, Missouri, Columbia, Missouri. Words that you're unfamiliar with when it comes to reading a hadith. Can you skip those words when you're reading by yourself? Is that all right? No, don't skip them. Try your best. You should not skip them. You cannot skip them. First and foremost, you got to learn. And if you keep skipping them, you'll never ever learn. If you stumble it or you just make up the vowel, it's no vowel, could be a kesra, could be a fatah. Let me just say it with a kesra. You have to keep trying. And at the same time, you have to get a copy of the hadith with the vowels. And even better than that is to learn the basic nahu. Learn nahu, learn sarf. To have a teacher read to someone, read upon someone, even if they don't teach you nahu and sarf, but just have them fix your mistake. All right? That's what you should do, and you should not skip them. And Allah knows best.
AB from the UK. Question is it allowed for a woman to include a condition in her marriage contract? In her marriage contract, the condition is that her husband can't take a second wife. And is he obligated to agree?
Questions from London. Is it permissible for a woman to stipulate in her marriage contract that he cannot take on a second wife? And is the husband bound to abiding by this condition, etc.? The ulama of Islam, they differ on this with two main views. Some of them say that's fine. And any condition that she makes and the husband agrees, the husband has to abide by, and he's bound thereby. Don't move me from this city. Don't make me live in your house. Don't make me do this. I want to have my own this. Whatever the case may be, whatever he agrees upon. And there are others who say, no, a condition like this is considered or called laysa fi kitabillah. Why do people make conditions that aren't in the book of Allah, meaning that go against the rulings of Allah and His Messenger? So some scholars say that this is something which is against the rulings of marriage and it cannot be done. So the ulama of Islam, they have khilaf on that. They have khilaf on that. Tayyib. Moving forward. He says that the scholars have two main views. If you take the view that it is permissible and you make that stipulation and the husband agrees, then obviously it's going to be an issue later on. My personal advice, based off of theory and practice, and from my experiences in life, is that this condition never brings good. La ya'ti bi khair. The condition that you cannot marry another woman after me it never brings any good or any positivity. But it's always going to be a problem and an issue later on. If the husband needs a second wife or wants a second wife, and then she says, well, you wrote a contract 20 years ago. How many things have changed in 20 years? How many things have happened, ups and downs for him and for her? It's a problem. All right? At the end of the day, we've spoken on polygamy in light of the book and the sunnah with some type of detail, alhamdulillah. Please go back to that 3-part series that we did, in which we spoke on the importance of the topic. Many people have a misunderstanding with regards to polygamy and polygyny, and many women have a problem with it. Many men have a problem with it. It's a huge, long discussion, okay? At the end of the day, the Muslim is to submit to everything that's in the Quran and everything in the authentic sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. كُلٌّ مِنْ عِنْدِ رَبِّنَا. As Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us, وَرَاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. Those who have firm knowledge, they believe in everything that comes from Allah. So the rights of the wife, the rights of the husband, taking on a second wife, whatever the case, they believe in all of it and they accept all of it. And many women, if not most of them, but for sure many, they'll say, I have no problem with polygamy. I have no problem with polygyny. I have no problem. I have no problem. And then they say the famous magical word, but. But. It's the first thing that they'll say. I have no problem with it. I believe in it, but. There's no but. Period. Just like you believe in the things that Allah Azza wa Jalla has made for you, you have to believe in the things that Allah has made against you. It's not an issue of choice and option. And your husband is not a perfect husband with just you and him. So why in the world will he be a perfect husband with you and another woman as well? So the shaitan, he whispers. The shayateen from the human beings, they whisper. We live in the modern world, and the list goes on. I would not advise you to put that in any contract, period. If he loves you that much, and you have that much jealousy, either he's not going to get a second wife, or he will. With or without that contract and that stipulation. Huh? So I've never seen that contract and that stipulation in my experiences to ever work. And Allah surely knows best. Fadl.
So I have a question. Question in regards to polygamy. Some people kind of make statements and viewpoints and expressing their opinions about polygamy. Like what kind of things that they would say were kind of like pronouncing things as part of the deen and the sunnah that will kind of shift them to fall into kufr? If you kind of announce the sunnah, is there certain things they could say about polygamy, or certain things that they may express their viewpoints that could actually take them out of order?
Crystal clear. With regards to certain statements that people could make or do make regarding polygamy / polygyny, that's a language battle in itself. Some people say you can't say polygamy. You have to say polygyny. I don't agree with that. Even if the word polygamy means multiple marriages or plural marriages for both sexes, of course in Islam, it's a one-way street. So it's no need in saying polygyny. There is no woman that's going to have on several husbands at the same time in Islam. So therefore, if there's only a one-way street in Islam, we can just say polygamy and keep it simple. All right? Tayyib. So people make statements about polygamy in Islam. Could it or does it take them out the fold of Islam? So on and so forth. First and foremost is total rejection of it. Without bidun ta'wil and sa'ir. Valid misinterpretation. That's an oxymoron. A valid misinterpretation. But what I mean by a valid misinterpretation is they're blindly following a scholar or scholars that they trust and think are saying the truth. That polygamy was only for the time of the Prophet, is when there were wars going on, the rate of people dying, women giving birth, milking camels and sheep in the desert. And somebody who's knowledgeable may actually say that polygamy in this time and age isn't the best thing to do. Bills, the government, etc., etc. And what your person is following, the people who they think are righteous and knowledgeable. That's what I mean by a valid misinterpretation. Obviously, that's oxymoron. If it's a misinterpretation, how can it be what? Valid. But you get what I'm trying to say. As far as someone just doing what they want and saying what they want and saying that it's not from the deen, it's no longer valid, it's no longer part of the legislation, even though it's in the Quran, then obviously that's going to be kufr akbar. There's going to be kufr akbar. There's no question about that. Another concept which could push them out the fold of Islam is them making fun of it and mocking its legislation. And you have to be very careful because you may make fun of someone or make fun of somebody, and in actuality, you're making fun of the actual concept. And people, they do this all the time. They make fun of someone who has more than one wife. So, such as a person may say, oh, how's your haram? Huh? It's a real life statement. Somebody said, he says, what? How's the haram, Sheikh? It's a problem. Okay, it may be just a small joke, you laughing, but you got to be careful. You see what I'm saying to you? So, rejecting it clearly, one, making fun of it, obviously, and other things are going to be borderline. And even if they aren't means of kufr akbar, it's going to be a means of you getting close into something which is totally unbefitting. And the people, unfortunately, are so hypocritical. They talk about the Prophet as the best husband, the Prophet as the kindest husband. خيركم خيركم لأهلي أو لأهلي وأنا خيركم لأهلي. Right? The hadith, it says the best of you are those who are best of their women. Everyone will quote that hadith. A woman who's a feminist, quote unquote, she'll quote that hadith. A sister who's a speaker at this conference or that conference in front of 1,000 people, she'll quote that hadith. Non-Muslims will quote that hadith. Istawsu bin nisa'i khayran, treat women kindly. We saw this on the New Jersey Turnpike one day. Driving from New York City to Philadelphia. A huge, gigantic billboard. I don't know if you remember. No doubt about it. Prophet Muhammad says, they'll quote those things. And those are the true statements. Those are true statements. When the Prophet ﷺ received the information about the men who were hitting their wives, He says, "Ulaika laysu bi khiyarihim." He says those men are not they're not the best of them. These aren't the top quality men who are hitting their wives in this manner, and so on and so forth. But the greatest polygamist was who? How many of the wives did the Prophet ﷺ have? Rather, there's a situation in which one of his wives, the Prophet ﷺ didn't want to be with her anymore for whatever reason. He was a human being. And instead of her being divorced, she relinquished her time and her night, and it was given to another wife. This is the reality of life. So you can't just take and pick what you want to take and pick from the Prophet's sunnah. Treat women kindly, do this with your wife, don't do this with your wife. Khadija had her own money, and the Prophet also what? Had multiple wives. So you either accept it all or you don't. You live in some type of progressive Islam, 2.0 Islam, 2019 Islam, American, Western Islam, that's fine. Tafaddal. But you want the organic, pure Islam to the best of your ability, living in 2019, you don't have an option. All right, so we have to be mindful of what we say, and only Allah knows what's in the hearts of the people. The last thing I'll say is Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah explains how most of the people have su'adhan billah, have bad thoughts of Allah, on one level or another. On one level or another. And the manifestation of this is polygamy. Line up 100 Muslims, see what 99 of them will say about it. Oh, I can't believe this, and oh, he's this, and oh, and she's that, and oh, they're living like this. He's full of lust. Why do you need all those women? Oh, you let him treat you like this. Oh, he only sees you like that. He only comes through like this. They'll make so many different statements about it. Only Allah knows what's in their hearts. And from having good thoughts of Allah is having good thoughts of His legislation. Allah is the one who legislated it, period. Done, over, khalas. It's no discussion. The one who is more merciful to you than you are to yourself. The one who's kinder to the woman and the man than they are to themselves. The one who knows more about the man and the woman and their psyche and their body and this and that than themselves. He legislated it. And like we just said, the Prophet ﷺ, he had multiple wives. So how can you just take the sunnah that you want and neglect the sunnah that you want? That's a problem. May Allah help us all.
The old aid from Washington, D.C. If a Muslim only eats dhabiha because of the hadith that their dua won't be answered if they eat non-dhabiha meat, would they be sinful if they ate the meat as a chef?
And the question is from where again?
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. With regards to Muslim only eating dhabiha, based off of the hadith that those who eat non-dhabiha meat, their du'as won't be accepted. Will a person be sinful if he eats the meat as a chef? طيب. Jazakallahu khairan. The Prophet ﷺ tells us about those who eat from haram. And that be a reason, or that being a reason behind their du'as not being accepted. His food is haram, his drink is haram, right? His clothing is haram, وَغُذِّيَ بِالْحَرَامِ, and he's nourished with haram. فَأَنَّ يُسْتَجَابُ لِذَلِكَ. طيب. So, the Prophet ﷺ including or saying haram food. As far as a hadith stating that those who eat non-zabiha meat, I don't know about that. Perhaps the questioner meant that. Allahu alam. I don't know haram things. طيب. Will you get a sin if you do it as a chef? If it's haram to eat, it's haram to eat a morsel. It's haram to eat a chunk. It's haram to eat a shank. It's haram to have a flank. It's haram to have a rib or a chop or a fillet or a cutlet. Any part of the meat is unlawful and impermissible to eat. And if it's unlawful and impermissible to eat, it's going to be a means, or it could be a means behind the dua not being accepted, period. Tasting food sometimes has certain rulings. Abdullah ibn Abbas, not the Prophet ﷺ, but Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, Bahrul Ummah and Habrul Ummah, he said that it's permissible for a person that basa be tadawwaq at-ta'am, one who's fasting can taste the food. That's what Ibn Abbas's fatwa was. Not eat it, but just taste it. All right? They're not the words of the Prophet. It's the words of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma. At the end of the day, if you're a chef and you have to eat something, if it's a necessity, that's one thing, but if it's not a necessity, it's haram. It's haram, period. Tasting is one thing, eating something is what? Different. Wallahu alam. Get someone else to taste it. Get someone else to eat it. Or, even deeper than that, if it's haram for you to eat, is it permissible for you to make? Is it permissible for you to serve? Wallahu alam.
HG from London, UK. How to seek knowledge when the amount of teachers teaching certain books are limited?
Question from London, how to seek knowledge when the teachers are limited and the books and things like this. You have to seek knowledge by wanting knowledge and desiring it. You have to want it. You have to have a burning passion for it. And knowledge is a beautiful thing. No human being in his or her right mind will neglect and look down upon knowledge. No one. Any culture or society, someone of knowledge and science is always going to be respected. Even if that's not the cool hip thing to do, but the people will have some respect for that person. A nerd, right? Some type of nerd in your class or some type of geek. The difference between nerd and geek. I'm with him. They'll make fun of him. They'll pick on him. But when a test comes, when they need him, they'll give him some type of respect and status. And even if he's not cool, he's a square, he's a this and he's that, they'll say, oh, he's smart. It's a reality. All right? And the people there will respect that on one level or another. All right? So knowledge is a beautiful thing. Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, regarding the narration of the companions who sought knowledge in the beginning, and they didn't have a specific intention. Meaning they didn't do it for the face of Allah, nor did they do it to please people. They just sought knowledge. And then they says, ثُمَّ رُزِقْنَا النِّيَّةَ بَعْدٍ. Then we got the niyyah later on, after they already began seeking ilm. Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah, he said about that narration, he said, لِأَنَّ النُّفُوسَ الزَّكِيَّةَ تَأْبَى الْجَهْلِ. He says, pure souls refuse ignorance. Period. Non-Muslims, look how much look how much value they place on ilm. And this is one of the main criticisms that many people from the Western countries who are non-Muslims say about Middle Eastern countries, who have millions, if not billions of dollars in oil revenue. Billions. Filthy rich. And they say no matter how many man-made islands you make, no matter how many towers you erect, no matter how big the largest clock is, whatever you have, where are your prestigious first-class universities? Give us one Cambridge. Give us one Harvard. Give us one Yale. All of the money that you have. And you don't have not one single what? Prestigious university. Because they're trying to make a point. And that is that from the signs of sophistication of a people is knowledge and science and a respect for it. All right? So everyone wants knowledge, everyone, or not wants it, but everyone respects it. Or they'll love it, or they'll know its importance at least. But how many people actually go after the knowledge? Brothers in the conferences, Assalamu alaikum Shaykh, oh mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. But who's willing to mashallah 3 a.m. and read a book? And to memorize a book, and to read until your eyes become red, and to sacrifice? Who's willing to do that? So there's not a lecture that's needed, there's no long discussion needed. If you want to seek knowledge, you gotta want it and you gotta do it. Go out there, be aggressive, and bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you'll find your way. Let alone other classes and lectures and books in which you've explained the proper way of doing it. But you gotta just stop talking about it and just go after it. There's nothing to discuss. I'm gonna go overseas, Damascus, do it. Period. There's nothing to talk about. Wallahu a'lam.
West from Columbia, Missouri. In the morning and evening adhkar be said before praise Fajr and Asr, or do they have to be said after?
Questions come Missouri?
Columbia, Missouri. Yeah.
Columbia, Missouri, with regards to the morning and evening adhkar or afternoon adhkar, can't even say before Fajr or after Asr, etc. Make the adhkar that are general and unrestricted, generally and unrestricted. Make the adhkar that are specific and restricted, specifically and restricted. Period. If the hadith says the Prophet ﷺ used to make this after Asr, that's what you do. If the hadith says the Prophet ﷺ would say this during the daytime, when he entered the mosque, when he did this, when he did that, that's what you do. That's the golden principle, the golden rule. That which is mentioned in the Kitab and the Sunnah, mutlaqan, unrestricted, general, you are allowed to do it and say it whenever you want to. And that which is restricted and specifically mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah, stick to its specific time, manner, and number. Listen carefully, guys. This is a golden principle. A golden principle. And the lack of its proper understanding is a means of or door to bid'ah. By not having a concept of this principle. Or if it's not a door, or it is, but if other than that, other than a doorway to bid'ah, it's a doorway to a person being heedless and negligent from seeking the bounty of Allah through the dhikr. And getting the reward and the hasanat, thinking that, oh, I can't say it like this because the hadith only said it like that, or such and such. Understanding the text. Wallahu alam.
AA from London, UK. Is it a sin to make jokes about the beard?
Question from London, UK. Is it a sin to make jokes about the beard? There's no good in making a joke about any beard. Even if you're not making fun of the legislation, but you're talking about your friend, okay? It's just not good. What good can come out of it? You make fun of someone's beard, say, that beard ain't you. You need to get rid of that. Or your beard is scruffy. Huh? Right? Or henna is not for you. Just go the natural way. Who did your henna? Right? People that make jokes like this. Why is the person putting henna in his beard? Why is he growing his beard that's scruffy or too bushy or super long? Because of what? Because of the sunnah. So be careful. Even if it's not directly attacking the sharia, it may what? Lead to it. Secondly, if it doesn't do that, and some scholars, they say, talking about someone specifically is not actually making fun of it, but oftentimes they're connected. But you might hurt your brother's feelings and offend him. And you make a joke thinking that it's a joke, but a person may take it to the heart. A person may have an insecurity about it. A person may feel funny about it. A person may be harassed or made fun of because of it. And you poke that sensitive spot. What good can come from it? Huh? There's so many things in the world to laugh at. Wow, laugh at a beard. It just doesn't make any sense, huh? And you should be mindful of what you say to your brother. You never know, you may offend or hurt your brother's feelings. And we violate this, what? All the time. All the time. You never know when your brother or sister takes it to the heart, huh?
NH from Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. I'm not able to wake up at the Hajj. Any tips? Since I'm not able to wake up, can I pray Salat Hajj instead? Not sure if it's authentic enough for me to do.
Questions from Toronto. With regards to the person, can I get up and make tahajjud? Can they make Salat al-Hajj if it's authentic? And any tips? Jazakallah khairan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you. Inshallah ta'ala, try your best. Seek Allah's help. And if you can't do it every night, then do it every other night. Or once a week. Whatever you can. It's not obligatory. You don't have to make it. But it's a good thing to do. Try your best and do it every now and then, inshallah ta'ala. And perhaps when you do it from time to time, you taste this sweetness. You see the benefit of it, how you wake up in the morning. Maybe you want to keep doing it. And maybe that'll be the necessary push and drive for you to go to sleep early or to have better sleeping habits or to hear the alarm or whatever the case may be. Maybe you need to taste the sweetness, inshallah ta'ala. Huh? Something which is unforgettable. You see this candy bar right here? I'm enjoying. Now, I'm not going to go too far off the topic, but just a little fa'idah. Once I read an article some years ago about the magic of chocolate. Literally, quote unquote, hypothetically speaking or figuratively speaking. And they say that chocolate is a substance like no other. Only a few things are similar to it in the world. And the amount of psychology that is involved when you eat a piece of chocolate. From the time you have it in your hand, your eyes, your taste buds, and how it causes an unforgettable effect on your mind with regards to wanting more chocolate. So a person may say, well, how do I get through this? Or how do I keep studying? Maybe you need to do what? Taste it a bit. And then, whoa, subhanAllah, that was so good. I felt so good. I woke up in the middle of the night and I prayed to Allah. My stressful day, the problems in my marriage, my addiction to this, my problems with that, I asked Allah to help me. And I got up the next morning. I was a little tired, but I felt better. I felt closer to Allah. And then I did it a second time and a third time, and it wasn't that hard. The freedom, the spiritual freedom to control and overcome the nafs, etc. So that's my advice, huh? And Allah knows best. And if you guys don't believe me on that, you can what? Perhaps you can research it, inshallah.
AD from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How does one repent from backbiting?
Question from Minneapolis, Minnesota. How does one repent from backbiting? Repent to Allah first and foremost with the proper conditions of Tawbah, which are mentioned. And if you have the ability to go back to the brother or the sister whom you backbit or you fell into backbiting, apologize to them and tell them straight up, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I was wrong. I said something about you. I take it back, so on and so forth. If you fear that's going to make a fitna or a fitna, it's going to make a problem, and you going back to them is going to cause further conflict, you may get into a fight, or he may never ever forget it or forgive you, speak good of them. Speak good of them. And the ulama of Islam, they say, even if you go back to the person and apologize, still speak good of them in the places in which you used to speak bad of them. Now, and the last thing I'm going to say with regards to this, and this is very important, and it's a direct connection that not too many people mention, and that is backbiting. Doing it or making tawbah from it is always going to be connected to companionship. Always. It's connected to companionship. So let's make a scenario now. I mean, man, He ain't nothing. He's this, he's that, he think he's this. He's a chump. He's a this, he's a that. So talking bad and negative and evil about you among my friends, right? And then I go back to him, I'm sorry, astaghfirullah, I didn't mean that, akhi. Shaitan overcame me. Do you forgive me? He said, sure, cool, no problem. So then I go back to my friends. We're now sitting in the masjid. Alameen is a good brother, mashallah. He's a beautiful brother. He's this. Alhamdulillah, he did this for me. He's always there for me. He's a good brother. He's a strong brother. So they're going to look at me like, what? You was just trashing him, talking bad about him. Now he's this and he's that. So what's going to happen? The friends will either go with me and they'll also repent, or they'll what? Outcast me. But one way or another, my friends have to be what? Replaced. Physically or spiritually or mentally replaced. But there's no way I can keep the same friends and make a complete tawbah from what? Backbiting. I understand this? And the reason why you fell into the backbiting is also because of your friends. Because no good true Muslim is going to sit around and lie to just destroy another Muslim's honor. No one with iman in his heart is going to allow you to sit down and just talk recklessly about a Muslim's honor like that without no clear-cut reason from the deen. To just be nasty. One person, but a group of people? Something's wrong with that companionship. And also when you make tawbah, you may see the real companionship because they don't want to hang out with you no more because he keeps praising Allah. I don't want to care about him, man. He's a nut. He's a sucker. He's this and he's that. So you're going to have to change your friendship. So friendship and ghiba are like what? White and rice. They go hand in hand, brothers. And your friends allow you and cause you to fall into ghiba. And oftentimes your friends can prevent you from ghiba because you're too shy. You're too shy and embarrassed to just be a nasty backbiter among these righteous people. So companionship what? Companionship. And it's one of the reasons why you see a brother and you haven't seen him for such a long time. It's a real funny vibe that you get from him. Because he knows that he was backbiting or he was what? With the people that were talking about you and he didn't say anything about it. Sound like Muhammad Ibn here. You get a real funny feeling. Because he was around those people what? That were trashing you. And the brotherhood will never ever be the same. So be mindful of this. Wallahu alam.
Question from Hong Kong. TR from Hong Kong. Is it permissible to delay having kids for the purpose of doing Hajj next year? If both partners agree.
Question comes from Hong Kong. Is it permissible to delay having children for the purpose of making Hajj the next year if both spouses agree? Yes, it's permissible. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not wanting a baby for some time. Using certain preventative measures and certain types of contraceptives is permissible. The problem in Islam is to kill the child for the fear of poverty, for the fear. Preventing a child is a different story. Everyone understand this? Whatever type of means or contraceptive that you use, as long as it's not harmful to the body, is permissible. Another thing which is impermissible is, according to some scholars, is marrying a woman that cannot bear children. Number 3 is a person not wanting children at all, never ever, because that's one of the most important aspects of marriage. It's to increase the Muslim ummah. Everyone understand this? فَإِنِّي مُكَاثِرٌ بِكُمُ الْأُمَمَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. All right? But temporary planning, temporary this, labas, especially for something like Hajj. At the end of the day, my advice to you and any other Muslim in Hong Kong is to put your trust in Allah. But there's nothing wrong with planning stuff out. That doesn't mean that you don't put your trust in Allah. Because from putting your trust in Allah is planning. And the Prophet ﷺ, he wore a helmet. The Prophet ﷺ wore a breastplate. The Prophet ﷺ thought and planned what? Strategically. When the Messenger of Allah ﷺ left Mecca to go to Medina, they had a mushrik as their guide. The one who knew the road and this back road, he was a mushrik. The Prophet didn't put his trust in Allah making hijrah? Of course he did. But he also took the means. But the means only take you by what? So far. Everyone understand this? So be mindful of that. If you can do whatever you want, you can use whatever you want. If Allah wants you to have a child, what? As the Prophet ﷺ tells us. And Allah knows best.
Mark from Lodi, California. I have a collection of new shirts and things from one I used to like, quote unquote, Superman. Should I wear these clothes out or do I have to toss it all out?
Questions from California. With regards to wearing Superman shirts. Do I have to throw them out? A new collection? Do I wear them out? Do I give them out? So on and so forth. What's wrong with having a Superman shirt? I don't know. A Superman? Some men are what? Super by Allah's permission. Some women are what? Superwoman by Allah's permission. Huh? Allahu alam. And one wise person, he said, there are no supermen, but there are only normal men in super circumstances. Meaning men who do what? Rise to the occasion. At the end of the day, I don't know of anything prohibited that's authentic that a person can't wear an S on his chest. What does that mean? What does that symbolize? I don't know. Why would it be haram to have a Superman shirt? Now, yeah, actually have Clark Kent on your shirt with his hair hanging down, with the tight, that's a different story. But I'm talking about just the what? Huh? We need an HD one, huh? Wallahu alam.
TM from Ottawa, Canada. Assalamu alaikum. What are the three of the most commonly misunderstood / misused hadith?
Questions from Ottawa?
Ottawa, Canada.
What are the 3 most commonly misunderstood hadiths? Misused hadiths. That's a challenging question. It depends on, the person or the people. Sometimes it's not even a hadith. I would say definitely one of them is that paradise is under the feet of mothers. There's no question about that. And of course, that hadith is nothing near weak, let alone authentic. It's not even near being what? Weak. Totally baseless hadith. All right, that paradise is tahta aqdam al-ummahat, beneath the feet of mothers. La abadan. Prophet never said that. All right. Other hadiths about one man, one mother at her feet is one thing, but paradise under the feet of mothers, la. So that hadith being totally baseless, let alone how it's used and abused. That's definitely in my top 5 or top 3 list, no doubt. On which a person says, don't go to the masjid, you have to listen to me because paradise is under the what? The feet of the mothers. Don't grow your beard because paradise is under the what? Feet of the mothers. This, don't wear the hijab, this is abused. Another one I would probably say, and Allah knows best. Think of one. Huh? Oh, and I got one. The most, let's say perhaps, and any talking about authentic ones or ones that aren't authentic? Okay, for argument's sake, the most hated lawful thing to Allah is divorce. That's a huge problem. That hadith is problematic. Not being authentic, first and foremost, and it's abused. In which the situation is done, it's over, separation is needed. They say, no, the most hated lawful thing to Allah is what? Is divorce. That's a problem. Or one may say the concept of, think about something. Child's wealth belongs to the father. Anta wa maluka li abika. Which is an authentic hadith. That hadith is sahih. Your child, you belong to your father, your wealth. What else? Think of another one. Surah Yasin.
Yasin when you pass away.
Reciting Surah Yasin. Tayyib.
The angels will come and bring them the sense.
The smell of Jannah, frankincense and myrrh. Tayyib, that's what. At the end of the day, the ulama they differ over that hadith. Iqru ala mawtakum Yasin. Some ulama say it's hadith Hasan. Another say that it isn't. And that's the view that I take, that it's not authentic. And if it was authentic, then the meaning of that hadith would be read Surah Yasin upon those who are about to die and not upon the actual dead. All right? I'm sure there are many others. Like I said, it depends on how you look at it and your own personal experiences. But from the top, it's definitely paradise under the feet of mothers. There's no question about that, And Allah knows best.
MB for Ontario, Canada. As many students are graduating this year and will soon be...
We did that the other night.
AA from Santa Rosa, California. Assalamu alaikum. Can I pray in a room that's part storage room and part bathroom?
Welcome to a part. All right, Santa Rosa, California. Can I pray in a room that's part storage and part bathroom? If it's one room and it's open and there's no divider, no barrier, no nothing, you should not pray in that room. Don't pray in that room unless it's absolute necessity. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
From Springfield, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum.
What's your advice for someone who wants to become a student of knowledge? It's to become a student of knowledge. Just do it. Make that your life goal. Every day that you wake up, every night that you go to sleep, dream about it. Dream about it when you're awake. think about what are the necessary steps that you have to make your dream, that you have to do to make your dreams become real life. Make the possible practical, and then make the practical done by Allah's permission.
AM from Springfield, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. What is the difference between taking knowledge from Ahlul Bidah and taking hadith from Ahlul Bidah?
What's the difference? Question from Springfield, Virginia. What's the difference between taking knowledge from Ahlul Bidah and hadith from Ahlul Bidah? As if they mean like not taking knowledge from Ahlul Bidah, but the clear narration say that they took hadiths. Is there a difference? Is there what? Is there a difference? That's the first question. Is there even a what? A difference. And you have to ask the people who say that, you have to ask them for that difference. As we have said many times before, and we'll say again, no one, and I quote, no one is encouraging a person to learn with someone who practices bid'ah. Whether he's an innovator or practices the bid'ah. We have never, and we never ever will, inshallah, and what? Encourage that. Nor do we encourage innovations and mistakes and problems. That's not the problem. But what the zealots do, they try to make, and we read this article in Wikipedia, they take something that's not even the point of difference of opinion and make that the main discussion. Everyone understand this? Listen very carefully. This is important. And this goes to show you that it's not just a dawah thing, but it's a psychological disorder. They make something which is laysa mahallul khilaf and make that the point from which they launch. He's promoting the people to sit with innovations. He's promoting the people to do this. He's promoting the people to say this. No, we are not. And we have never done that. But we said that it is not haram for Brother Abdul Wadud to go to that masjid and to teach a class. And to sit on a panel, stage, or flyer, etc. No one is waving a flag and saying, study with this person who's a Sufi or this or that. No one ever said that. Abadan, that's a lie. And that's diverting the people from the actual what? The real issue at hand. Is it permissible to go to this masjid that says not Salafi and teach there? That is the issue of khilaf. Is it permissible or not? On what grounds or what are you standing on? What is allowing you to do that or to say that you can't go there? No one is supporting innovations. And the dalil for that is, look at the person's history. Look at the person's companions. Look at the books that the person teaching. What books are being taught? What books? Where's our sharh of this crazy book? And this Sufi book? And this grave worship? Where? Bukhari, Muslim, Lulu Monajan. The common sense is showing you something. So the people, they make something that's not the actual issue of khilaf, and they make it that the issue to talk about someone, and that's wrong. So those who say that you cannot take from knowledge from a person of innovation, or they've stretched it out even further. You can't take knowledge from a hizbi, whatever that is, and whatever that means. You can't take knowledge from someone who has a mistake, who made a mistake, or who said something about a scholar, etc. You have to go and what? Ask them that question. Because obviously they can't reject the clear-cut proof that we've done videos on. Fulan narrated from this person, and he was a Shi'i, and he was a Qadari, and he was a this, and he was a that. Imam Muhammad narrated from this one. Abu Dawud narrated from that one. Ibn Khuzaymah narrated from this one. Imam al-Bukhari. How many narrators, which are Mubtadi'ah, in his Sahih? So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place now. So you have to go and what? Ask them that. As we have said many times before, your teacher should be the best of people. Your teacher should be someone who's on the correct aqeedah, who's righteous, who's not practicing bid'ah, who's not a womanizer, who has good akhlaq, all around the board. But for argument's sake, this is where it comes in now. For argument's sake, there was a master of a science who may be a Sufi. You're overseas in Medina, studying in a university, and the best person to teach the rules of inheritance or tajweed or whatever it is this person who has some stuff with him. Can you sit with him? Can you learn from him? Or your teacher in a university. Let's keep it real. Everyone understand this? And you go, and wallahi, go to them and ask them. Ask them, is every teacher in the Islamic University of Medina Salafi? According to you, your definition, yes or no? If they are, then alhamdulillah, you've won the argument, I'm defeated. And if they're not, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Because you're saying we can't sit, we can't go, we can't visit, we can't talk, we can't give salams, but you're sitting in front of someone 5 days a week and calling them sheikh. And say assalamu alaikum, giving them respect and learning from them, and you're answering the test according to what he taught you. So you're being a hypocrite. Everyone understand this? So there's a difference between something being permissible and something being what? recommended and advisable. No one is going to say sit with this person with this innovation or this problem, and you have a Sunni person who's practicing the correct way who has the ilm. No one is saying that. But that's not the reality of life. Life is not perfect. You're not always going to find a teacher on this science who's like that. Rather, you're going to find a teacher who's what? Who's like this. Can you sit with him what? Or not? Everyone understand this? So these are very, very important words and very important principles. I hope they will not fall upon deaf ears, and I hope that they will fall upon sincere hearts for those who want to speak the truth. And as a wise person once advised me, coming down on me and condemning me and criticizing me, he said, Mufti, why are you responding to this? Why are you saying this? Why? Anyone with any common sense can clearly see what it is. You're not speaking to people who have common sense. You're not talking to someone that's sincere with open ears. If they were sincere and they had open ears, they wouldn't fall for it. Either their ears are closed, they don't have common sense, or they're not what? There's no way a person can be that blind and dumb and stupid to the reality of things. Everyone understand this? This is what a wise person once told me. And Allah knows best.
AA from Wilmington, Delaware. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Can a Muslim be buried in a non-Muslim burial ground?
Question from Wilmington, Delaware. Can a Muslim be buried in a non-Muslim burial ground? If they have to. If there's a need. The proof and evidence that Muslims have to be separated from non-Muslims in the burial ground, it's not that direct. But of course, there are many problems. The dua being made and many things, them being harmed or annoyed. Al-Muhim, it's not that sarih that it's a must for the separation and segregation of burial grounds. But it's definitely something which should be done, and it shouldn't be avoided if a person isn't in the means of necessity. Wallahu a'lam. Yeah, brothers and sisters, if you want your question answered by us, please respect the format. It's not from the Quran or Sunnah, something that's wajib, but it's our rules. You have to mention your name or your initials, first and last, town, city, village, etc. Jazakallah khairan. And if you don't wish to put that, that's fine. We won't be able to entertain your question.
Assalamu alaikum, Abu Mukbil from the UK.
What city?
Oh, it is in the cities, obviously.
That's Abu Muqbil, Pakistani. He asked questions before. What city did he ask from? Was it London or Birmingham? I think it was one of the two. Nah, it's not Manchester. I think it's one of the two. Not Lisa, one of the two, I think.
SM from Atlanta. What should I do if I see a lot of signs of sihr on my uncle, but he refuses to do ruqya? He doesn't believe he is afflicted, nor does he believe he can be harmed by it. He's a bit hard-headed.
Tight. From Atlanta, Georgia? He's a bit hard-headed. He has signs of sihr, but he refuses to get the ruqya. He refuses to get the treatment, so on and so forth. Just make dua for him. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. No one can move anything. No one can establish anything. There's no strength. There's no movement of strength and power except with, by, and through Allah. That's all you can do. Pray for him. Try to give him advice. If he doesn't want to listen, there's nothing that you can do. If you try to force him to do it, it may turn into a fight, or he may accuse you of being disrespectful, or he may not have sihr on him, and you may be mistaken. Or there may be shared symptoms of other issues in the field of medicine. How many illnesses and sicknesses mention fever? Alameen, how many? Fatigue. You got to keep using the bathroom. 10 different illnesses just out of those 3 right there. I'm always tired. I have fever, and I got to use the bathroom. It could be this, it could be that, it could be this. So it doesn't mean it's one thing. So try to get someone of knowledge and of status to speak with him. Maybe he'll respect him. Maybe he'll listen. Remove yourself from the situation. Wallahu alam.
AA from Wilmington, Delaware, USA. Is drawing the same as a photograph?
Is what?
Drawing the same as a photograph.
Question from Wilmington?
Yeah.
Is drawing the same as taking a photograph? Who said they were even the same? Who said it's type? The question is not saying that, but it's going to lead to that. Drawing is no room regarding that. You draw something that has a soul and it's an actual living being, not a fantasy type of creature, then the khilaf, if any, is very, 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 very thin. As far as a photograph, then that's a different story. So don't draw anything that's living, a horse, a lion, a human, with the head connected and the eyes there. All right? As far as a photograph, then that's a different story. That's a different story. Wallahu alam.
Essay from Ontario, Canada. Is it permissible to ask for a sign after making dua like Zakaria did? If not, why?
You said Ontario, Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Can a person ask for a sign when they make dua like Zakaria did? Is it permissible? If not, why not? So on and so forth. La bas. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he asked Allah to show him how he gives life to the dead. But just be mindful of your place as a servant. And every single time, should you ask that? Should you stipulate that every time? Does Allah owe you that He gives you a sign every time? Wallahu alam.
KS in Chicago, Illinois. Assalamu alaikum. Is it allowed to fly a flag outside of the country where you're from, such as America, France, or England, or etc.?
Question is from Chicago. With regards to flying a flag outside, a flag of your country, so on and so forth. America, France, US, Italy, etc. I'm not going to say that it's haram. I won't say that. I won't say it's haram. Would I advise you to do it? Would I have the flag outside myself? Not necessarily. But it doesn't mean that it's haram. My personal refraining or avoidance of it doesn't mean that it's haram or even makruh. It depends on the situation. An actual establishment, a place, a hotel, a major center, that's one thing. Okay, it's one thing. All right. At the end of the day, it is your country, whether you like it or not. And the sad reality is that many Western countries or non-Muslim countries offer better service and more fairness and equality and justice than many Muslim countries, unfortunately. There was a man who came from the Middle East. I won't mention his name. Perhaps it was in the 60s or the 70s. He visited the United States. This is what he said. This is not an absolutely true statement, but this is what he said when he returned back to his country. He says, I went to America. He says, فَرَأَيْتُ إِسْلَامًا وَلَمْ أَرَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ. He said, I went to America and I saw Islam, but I didn't see Muslims. That's what he said. I went there, I saw Islam, but I didn't see Muslims. Meaning, in his view, he saw justice and fairness and equality in which there is to be equality, because there's not equality in all things. And it's unlawful to say that every single thing is equal. That's not true. There is not equality all around the board. It's not true. But there's always justice and fairness. Okay? So he said that he saw equality where there's supposed to be equality. Justice is always absolute. Everyone understand this? Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Justice and fairness is what? Absolute. There's no dhulm. But equality is what? Conditional. The one who prays all night is not like the one who sleeps all night. Abadan. The one who's righteous and obedient is not like one who's sinful. Everyone understand this? No matter how fair and just you try to be with your children, the firstborn is not like the baby. The responsibilities that the oldest child gets. This is the difference, whether you like it or not. And the baby gets advantages that the what? Oldest doesn't get. So oftentimes equality is a myth. Is a what? A myth that people they make up. But there's certain times in which there has to be what? Equality. No doubt about that. There's musawa, no doubt. And give a person an extra bump or beneath is haram. But it's not what? Absolute, like justice is. There's a difference between justice and equality. So the person, he said that I saw justice, equality, fairness. I saw people being generous. I saw hospitality. I saw what? Islam. But the people who were doing these things weren't Muslims. So that's a deep statement if you think about it. At the end of the day, it's your country. This is where I was born. I come from France. My father came to France. This is where I got my education. That's where I laid my head at. That's where I saved my money. This is the life that was provided to me. And this is my country. To say that it's haram, you can't have a flag outside, so on and so forth, that is connected to other issues such as, is it permissible to live in France? Is it permissible to have a French citizenship? Is it permissible to travel from Algeria or Morocco and move to France? And swear, make an oath to abide. That's that. If you say the flag is haram, then you're also going to what? And this is what we said with regards to the military. And the Muslim joining the military. Muslim cannot join the military, no problem. But there are other things that are also what? Haram, living in the United States, that you must say. Because the military is nothing more than a continuation of what? Everything else. All right? So I wouldn't say it's haram to have a flag outside. I wouldn't put it on my door of my house. I have my personal reasons for that. What does the flag represent? So on and so forth. Once, about a couple of winters ago, I had a jacket on, a Ralph Lauren, like Parker type jacket, and it had a flag on it, remember? And outside of East Orange, Ahl Sunnah Masjid, Abu Layla, remember Abu Layla? He said, he started talking to me, he says, you have a flag on your arm, is it permissible to do that? I read Shaykh Uthaymeen said it's permissible as long as you don't believe in it, so on and so forth. So I told him, Jazakallahu khairan, this flag doesn't what? Represent or mean anything to me. It's just on my jacket. I just didn't take it off yet. You see what I'm saying to you? But what does the red, white, and the blue stand for? We know what the poet said. What the stars what? Stand for, what the red stands for, what the blood stands for. And we know this. But it doesn't absolutely mean that it's what? Haram to have a flag of your what? Country, because you have that blue passport with that eagle in it. And if anything goes wrong, the first thing you do is what? Clutching the arrows. Everyone understand this or not? So we have to be mindful of not having double standard. The first thing you do is what? You whip out that passport, You go to that embassy, And outside the embassy is a huge what? Flapping in the wind, being slapped in the wind, as the poet said. Next question.
JT from Baltimore, Maryland. What is the virtues of studying fiqh and tafsir? We always hear you speak on the virtue of studying hadith.
Tayyib. Question is from Baltimore, Maryland. This will be our last question tonight. What are the virtues of studying fiqh and tafsir? We always hear you talking about the virtues of studying hadith. Jazakallah khairan. I'm glad to hear that. At least I was of some type of service and some type of benefit and trying to propagate the study of the hadith of the Prophet. That's good to hear. But the second part of your question, we don't necessarily agree with. And I would say humbly that all our classes and khutbahs and stuff, we always promote and pump what? Study of what? Fiqh. This Q&A is a manifestation of what? The importance of studying fiqh. So we can't agree with that second premise. How many classes, khutbahs, and lectures do we do on tafsir? And verses and lata'if of the Quran and so on and so forth. So we can't what? We can't agree with that second part. Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah bless you for your intentions. And there are many virtues of studying the book of Allah, and including that is tafsir. And studying the fiqh of the deen, I don't think it needs an answer. Everyone understand this? And Allah surely knows best.
AQ for Columbus, Ohio. Should I marry a Muslim woman that listens to music and wears tight clothes if she says she's trying to be a better Muslim?
Tight. We'll answer this question tomorrow from Columbus, Ohio. Marrying a sister that listens to music and wears tight clothes. It's a very important question and a very practical question. Wallahu a'lam. We'll answer it tomorrow.